Well, I guess today I am reacting to Hugh Hefner. What's up, guys? GeorgeTheCloud here. Welcome to the channel and welcome to my life. Hugh Hefner clashes with feminists over Playboy models, the Dick Cavett show. Big shout out to Raymundo. Thank you so much for the coffee and the support. So he has requested that I react to this video, and it is on the Classics channel because it's from back in the day, maybe 70s, I would say. Yeah, 1970s. Okay, and I actually did a reaction to Joni Mitchell, Willie and For Free, 1969. That was on the Dick Cavett show. I was like, I have heard this name before, but yeah, it was Joni Mitchell. And Hugh Hefner, don't know much about the guy, but I guess I know the overall, vibe to him and what he did. So let's take a look at this interview. I'll give you guys my real, honest, legitimate thoughts as I go along and at the end. So thank you for tuning in. If you have reaction requests, please go to my Coffee page or Patreon. It helps out a lot. Grab some popcorn, fill up your water, put your headphones on. Let's see.
I would like to introduce now two ladies who I'm sure, well, I know everyone is aware by this time that there are a lot of women in this country who feel that they're being pushed around, and they have become very vocal. They call themselves the Women's Liberation Movement, and we have two representatives from that movement here tonight. They're both writers.
He's smoking
Susan
there?
Brown Miller had a piece in the Sunday Times a couple of weeks back, and Sally Kempton is the other lady, and I would like you to meet those two ladies. Maybe we can find out what the women are all upset about. Will you welcome them, please? Are you Sally?
Yes.
Yes. Well, you've brought cigarettes. Could I not light it for you?
No.
Okay. Just a little joke, you see.
Would you like to not light it for me?
Is it true that you travel in pairs for some reason, or is this just a
There is a political reason why we came tonight together.
political reason?
yes.
Oh, you want to leap right into that?
Sure. The Women's Liberation Movement says sisterhood is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And that means women together. And Women's Liberation is hot copy this season. And
Yeah, every magazine has an article.
Right, every magazine has an article. All the shows kind of want to see a women's liberationist in the flesh. And our movement doesn't want to create stars or celebrities. So when we get an offer, we feel we should come, in a pair.
Oh, well, stars are created in pairs. I mean,
Right, but also we want to be crosstalk teams. I mean, we want to, answer questions for each other and support each other generally.
okay.
Which is,
What do you think men are doing wrong?
They're in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they oppress us as women. They won't let us be. And Hugh Hefner is my enemy.
Oh, is Hef your enemy? We really set you up tonight, didn't we?
we've been watching.
Even in the audience, I think. I get a certain.
Well?
I think we have more than a few.
I'm sure you must have some
of the lib
friends
people
out
here in the
there.
Well, if
audience.
that's true, then there are sisters. We didn't bring them. It's just that women's liberation is growing every day.
You didn't stack the audience, if you'll pardon the expression. Now you two are successful. You're Sally Kempton, are you?
Right.
You're successful writers. Have your careers been stood in the way of by your sex?
Well, Susan should really answer that question because mine hasn't for various reasons,
Oh.
except psychologically, which is another issue.
It's good you came in
Yeah.
twos then, if
Right.
yours has.
Right. I never wrote anything till I was 28 years old. And I never dared to allow myself to believe that I had ambition and that I should be a writer. I worked at Esquire magazine for 2 years as a researcher. I worked at Newsweek magazine for 2 years as a researcher. And I'd go in
Newsweek?
periodically to my
Esquire?
bosses and say, I'd like to do more, I'd like to write. And they'd say, oh, you got your hair set today, isn't that lovely? Things like that.
Oof.
And they never took my ambition seriously. When I was 28, I read Betty Friedan's book, The Feminine Mystique, and I saw myself on every page. And I knew what she was talking about. And I knew that I really wanted to do something, and for me it was writing, so I started to do it. And, I've had some small success at it. That's all. Well, we're really not successful. I mean, we're just doing something that ordinary guys do all the time. There's nothing exceptional about being a freelance writer or a reporter.
Yeah.
All kinds of mediocre people do that. It's just because we're women, somehow, it seems very special.
Well, what is it you want done, if you could wave a magic wand now, that would release you from the yoke of this oppression that you all talk about? What would do it quickly? Is it a whole change of attitude in the Western world?
Yeah. It's a change in education, really. Women are brought up in really hundreds of ways. I mean, from the time they're 2 and 3 years old, to be cute and coquettish and intellectually unserious, to seduce people instead of saying what they want. Mm-hmm. I think it would be, what we would really like is for there to be no necessity for seduction in the world at all. And particularly for there to be no necessity for women to seduce men to get what they want.
Well, now, there's some of you, and I find it hard to not say some of you, because there are different voices speaking for the women's liberation movement, who reject men altogether. They won't sit in the same room with a man if they can avoid it. Are you two of those ladies? And if so, what are we doing here?
I think we're probably more optimistic about the ability of men to change. We think there's going to be a struggle, and we don't think that men are going to give up their power and privilege easily, because they benefit from oppressing women. They really do. Hefner has built an empire based on oppressing women.
Well, it sounds like she's getting support from the audience. I don't know if it's just like a generic random audience, or if it was mostly, supporters that went there for them. But yeah, I can get the idea here of how opposite they are, them coming in with the women's liberation, and they have all these thoughts in their head of there needs to be a change, some sort of revolution, because women are being oppressed and stuff like that. And on the other side, you have Hugh Hefner, who kind of sees women as toys, as objects for his funhouse. So there is some tension in the air, and let's see how it goes.
One lady that we spoke to, who's a member of your movement, would not come on tonight with you, Mr. Hefner, because she said it would be like putting Stokely Carmichael on with George Wallace. I don't know which of you is flattered by that, but
feels like Wallace, eh?
I don't know which of you is which, but have you had this reaction before tonight?
Yes, I think Playboy's been singled out along with the Miss America contest and some other things as as the extreme example of what the new feminists feel is the wrong image for women. But having been described as an oppressor, can I respond just a little bit?
All right.
I'm more in sympathy than perhaps the girls realize with
Women.
I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm 35.
Than the ladies realize. I use girls referring to women of all ages.
You should stop.
You want to be called a boy.
Oh, I see. Okay. I always felt it was complimentary, but
Never thought you'd have your mouth washed out for saying girls.
no, that's right.
That's a very important
I'd never thought of girl as being, but I think there's validity to it. I think there's validity. I'd never thought of it as being, condescending.
That's because your magazine
All right,
has an image of women at an arrested development.
Well, let me respond. Let me respond.
This is getting serious.
And we'll
May I
really
just say
kick
that
it
the
back
ladies
and
in your
forth.
magazine have the opposite of arrested development?
Now here. First of all,
Sorry.
First of all, the girls in the magazine are admittedly young. The average age of our male reader is 26, so there's a certain logic to that. Mm-hmm. But in terms of my attitude on the feminist movement as it exists now, I think that women over generations and centuries have indeed been oppressed. I think there's no question about it. Yeah. It's only a relatively short time that they've had the vote. And, a short time before that, they were allowed to own property. I think there are still many areas in society in which they do not have equal job opportunity. One of the thrusts of the feminist movement is for better abortion laws. I think Playboy has done as much as any mass media in terms of trying to accomplish exactly that. But I take issue and separate in this one rather fundamental area. There is usually a parallel made between female emancipation and racial equality. And I don't think it's the same thing. Even though the feminist movement grew out of the civil rights, the current feminist movement grew out of the civil rights business. For this reason, I don't think that the color of a man's skin is any more important than whether he is blonde or brunette, blue-eyed, or brown-eyed. I think whether you are male or female is the beginning of who you are as a human being. I think it's important, and I think that it is important emotionally as well as physically. I think there are differences, and I think there should continue to be differences. I think what we want to try to do is find roles in society that are not as limiting as they've been in the past, and they have been far more limiting for women than men, admittedly, but very limiting for both in the past. I hope we're going to evolve into a society in which the broadest spectrum of opportunities exist for both men and women, but I think that to begin with, we are, you know, I like very much Mary Calderon's comment in a recent Playboy interview in which she said, you know, she's less interested in women's rights than human rights. I think that it's...
Would you like to respond, Susan?
I certainly would. The role that you have...
I mean, it sounds educated, but does it make sense?
Women's rights than human rights. I think that it's...
Would you like to respond, Susan?
I certainly would. The role that you have selected for women is degrading to women because you choose to see women as sex objects, not as full human beings.
Well, it obviously
Hold
is
on
degrading...
now. The day that you...
It obviously is
I
degrading
want to
to
say,
a lot
I
of
haven't
women.
finished. The day that you are willing to come out here with a cottontail attached to your rear end,
As he smokes his pipe.
he has made the degradation of women a condition of employment in the Playboy clubs around the country. They have to get into these ridiculous costumes which deny their humanity and their femininity. You make them look like animals. Yes, women aren't bunnies. They're not rabbits. They're human beings.
All right. The Playboy symbol, the rabbit, of course, and the reason for having bunnies in the clubs, the symbol was originally a male figure, and it was picked quite innocently and simply some 16 years ago because we felt it was a rather playful and sexual symbol. The fact that the girls are dressed in costumes is no more complex than that, and the girls obviously don't find it degrading, or we wouldn't have as many working with us. In addition,
that's not true.
just
We
1 minute. In addition, I know that there are a great many
I'm
women
thinking.
who feel as you do, but there are also 1 out of every 4 readers of the magazine today is female, so there are obviously a lot of other women too. In terms of degrading and wearing a bunny tail, the parallel that's usually made is, you know, why don't you create a women's magazine with nude men? Because there's some kind of a notion that, you know, taking the clothes off is a degrading concept.
Hey, Helen Gurley Brown wants to put a man
Yes, I know
in
she does, and I think she may
Cosmopolitan.
do
What do
it.
you think of that and her?
Well, that's another symptom of the same decadent problem, right?
Is she just a female half?
Well, I don't know. I'm sort of...
No.
No, she's
she
not.
isn't.
I mean, Helen Gurley Brown, at least, was the first person who ever said that it was okay for a woman to be single up into her 40s and 50s. You know, one has to give her that. But she runs a magazine for women who want to know how to get men, just as Mr. Hefner runs a magazine for men who want to seduce women. And we don't think that's a proper, you know, that's a sole relationship between men and women, or even certainly not the most important one. And maybe that's the reason that all these things about male impotence and stuff like that you and Dr. May were talking about earlier has been going on.
I wonder if we could
It's
get...
a hassle. In other words, if you have a relationship with somebody, why do you have to form a big thing? I mean, some guys you have crummy relationships with, some you don't. I mean, some of them are great, some of them aren't. Some of them look at you as a sex object, fine. So the ones that like to talk to you...
What did you say? Come on, this is a family show here that I'm running.
Guys you have crummy relationships with, some you don't. I mean, some of them are great, some of them aren't. Some of them look at you as a sex object, fine. So the ones that like to talk to you...
Those aren't the ones.
No, I mean the ones who like to both go to bed with you and talk to you. You do both of those things. The ones who like to make music and talk to you and go to bed with you and write or whatever you do, draw. You do all those things. I mean, I don't see where the problem is. It's just maybe because I don't see what you're talking about yet. But I don't see the problem yet.
I think we need another show on the subject. We have to pause. We'll be back in a moment.
We'll be back.
Dr. May,
okay.
you've been very quiet and patient.
Yes, well, I've been thinking and listening. I very much agree with most of what you've been saying. And I do think that Playboy has treated women as an accessory, like the tie or the shirt or whatever one wears. Now, that's what I was trying to say a little while ago. Now, and it's not just that this is happening in the modern period, Mr. Hefner. In the Middle Ages, women were terrifically powerful. Anne of Aquitaine and these queens led armies, and 70, one conquered another land and married again. This is a period of women's power. Now,
well, to that point, they were powerful, but by force. It's not like most of them, like wanted to be in that position, or that it was a fair way to do it, and that, a lot of people could get that opportunity. He went, that's a crazy point to make, because if you're going back to medieval times, it was a lawless land, right? Way less, equality than there is now, or at least in this time period, the 1970s. And there was a lot of slavery going on. And if you were lucky enough to grow up, in the throne and be a woman of power, it did come with its difficulties. And even to that point, to continue the legacy of the monarchies, you wanted a male son. So if you had a woman, I don't know, I'm assuming most of them would just get killed or like pushed to the side, and it would just be not. I don't really get this point, but
agreeing with most of what you say, let me put in one qualification, that I think the difference between men and women ought to be capitalized on and not swept under the rug. For example, we are men and you are women, and the best identity. When I work with a patient, she's a woman, I have to get her over all these subdued, docile feelings. It doesn't make a human being. But also,
you're a rare psychiatrist.
What'd you say?
I said you are a rare psychiatrist.
Well,
Yes.
I hope so. But
there are very many strict Freudians who tell their women patients that they're not accepting their female role. They can only find salvation
I don't
through
think I've
housework
used
and
that
motherhood.
in
Right.
40 years. That's been longer than I've been practicing. But look, let me put in one point. It's the old French idea, vive la différence. I think what you ought to do is not try to be the same as men. After all, I don't think most of us have done a very good job with our lives. But you ought to try to affirm your, what you are as women. And I think the mistake of the women's liberation movement is where they want to be just the same as men, which I'm sure you don't, but they throw out the baby with the bathwater, which is the differences that are in the personality of each, and I still believe in vive la différence. Not at all because la différence makes anybody superior to anybody else, but because life is tremendously more interesting if there are two sexes in it.
Is either of you ladies married?
Yes,
Here, here.
You are. Now, some of you are really against marriage completely.
Yes. Yeah. I think most of us feel that the marriage laws are very discriminatory against women.
Except in California with alimony, apparently.
Well,
Would you
Well,
accept alimony if you were divorced?
no.
You wouldn't.
But I would think that a woman who spent her whole life being a housewife and mother should. I think that in such cases, alimony is really the price that men pay for women's oppression.
How do you explain the Margaret Chase Smiths and the Helen Gurley Browns and the Bess Meyersons and who have somehow fought through the
Yes,
system
well,
and gotten
society
there?
always allows a few to get through. There are always loopholes.
But you speak as if there were a conspiracy. They say, let's let these few through, and then these other women will get back in their place.
I really do.
But not a conscious one. You don't think that I go around consciously oppressing women,
I don't
do you?
know if you do. I don't think so, watching your show. I really wouldn't think. You seem to like intelligent women, and you never seem to be afraid to have strong women on your show. You've had marvelous intellectual discussions with Beverly Sills, Shirley
Yeah,
Chisholm.
but that's because I'm
right?
weak and like to be dominated.
You don't believe that. No, you're confident of your masculinity. Right?
Say that again.
I'll say that louder, right? You're confident of your masculinity.
I wanted to get that out. So that I'll hear it. Gee, we need another show on this. I'm afraid we have opened so many cans of worms here.
yeah.
I wish we could get to them. That isn't aimed at any of my guests. This turned into a roast Hefner evening. I'm sorry about that.
Dick, I'm going
You'll
to talk about that later.
Ah. All right, how much time do you guys have? Because this is really a big topic. First things first, we hit the like. I will subscribe to the Dick Cavett show, and I'll have a link of the original video down in the description below. Now, I'll try to be as like short and concise as possible because you know, we don't have much time. But so I support most of their points. And you know, I could see where they're coming from, what they're fighting for and stuff like that. However, like what we're dealing with here is like maybe two extremes, right? Like the total opposite type of people and opinions. And for the most part, I think it's better to be neutral when it comes to ideas that clash this much. And I don't mean to say like, oh, you know, I'm not gonna pick a side and I'm not gonna go here, but I kind of do that with politics. I just stay out of it. I'm just like, you know, I'm not a Democrat, not a Republican. I have some ideas from both sides and, you know, things that I support, but I'm not just gonna stick to one team, because I think that's a dangerous mentality to have, because then you have the other side as like complete opposition and it becomes like a war. But in this case, I am, of course, way more towards you know, the feminist than I am with Hugh Hefner, right? Because Hugh Hefner to me is just like this guy that opened up the doors for women to be sexualized to points to levels that had never been seen before, probably, right? I mean, I am all for open sexuality, and you can do whatever you want with your life. Like, I'm not here to judge, and everyone can do, you know, what they want, you know, with their bodies, as long as it's legal. But you know, what he did is exactly what they're saying, right? He's treating women as like props, as sexual objects, as toys for him to make money, to build his empire, have success, have fame, have the women he wants to have, right? Or the girls, as he calls them, which that's, I mean, that kind of term, and it can go either way, I guess, depending on how you feel about it. So I don't support what he did, because like I said, that just maybe inspired people to normalize this type of thinking. And you fast forward to the current day and age, 2026, and the equivalent of that is OnlyFans and webcam girls, which again, you can do whatever with your life, I guess, but it doesn't mean that I respect what you do, right? If you're willing to, you know, make money selling your body, then I kind of think that you're losing your dignity and your morals. Like, it's just that simple. And, you know, if you were a Playboy girl back then, you were kind of doing the same thing. And it's like a fine line between that and prostitution. It's like as close as you can get without doing it. So it's not like you're in a safe zone. I guess it's a bit of a gray area, but, you know, you're pushing the limit. You're getting closer to that point, which is not good. So of course, I don't like what he's doing or what he did. You know, talking about him, like what he was trying to make some point, but I guess he kind of started his way around, maybe like the way I'm doing. But I guess maybe I would be closer to like his thinking if we were to pick anybody here. Women and men are different in many ways, genetically, physically, you know, emotionally, whatever have you. But that doesn't mean there has to be inequality, right? that's the whole point. Like, we can understand, we can accept the fact that yes, we are, I guess, different if we start to break it down, right? But women and men should have the same rights, the same opportunities, the same economic status, be able, getting paid the same, stuff like that. So that's what I believe in. We don't have to like ignore the idea. It's like when people say, oh, I don't see color, I don't see, no, yes we can, yes we do, it doesn't, you don't have to take it that far. We can see different races, different colors, we see heights, different body shapes, whatever, different sexes. Like, it's fine, we can celebrate it, we can enjoy the diversity that comes with being the human race, right? There is so much variety. But yes, in this time period, back in the 70s, there was more oppression towards women, and they had less opportunity to be as successful as men, because it's a very traditional conservative idea that yes, if you're a woman, you're meant to be a housewife, and you're gonna stay at home, cook, raise the kids, be good for your husband, do whatever he says. And of course, I'm against that, because that's not healthy at all. And so right now we're living in a time where women can have more jobs, so they're working, and that is a kind of, let's say, tricky situation, because for like thousands of years of humanity, that was the role of women. It's like, okay, you're going back to the ancient times, prehistory, cavemen. Okay, I'm the man, I'm gonna go out and hunt and get the food for my family, while the wife stays at home and takes care of the kid, because somebody has to take care of the kid. But that's like, we're going back to ancient logic, which doesn't apply to today, because as we know, women are educated and they can go out there, get jobs, etc. So we kind of have to make that shift, and I think it's happening really quick, right? Considering the grand scheme of the universe. So it's going to raise questions and arguments like this, but I would say that you have to embrace the new age, what's happening, and be on the side of women, because they have been the victims, generally speaking, of course, for as long as we have existed. And yes, another point I want to make is, sure, there's men like Hugh Hefner, he's the creator, he made stuff like this, but there's also the women that want this lifestyle. So it's not one or the other. You can't just point a single blame at a person, right? Or at an idea. It's like, yes, it's like, whose fault is it? The drug dealer or the one that's making the drugs, right? Well, it's both, right? And the people that are consuming it are kind of, they're just absorbing what's available to them. But yeah, I don't know if I've made enough points here. I think you kind of get the idea. This is such a huge topic, and I don't want. I may have to start my own the GeorgeTheCloud show. But yes, of course, to summarize it, I'm more on the side of the women here. I am against Hugh Hefner, and I would like to see your comments down below. What is your thinking about all this? And I'm really curious, because most of the people watching my reactions are, from the older generation. Maybe you were watching this when you grew up, whereas I am a millennial, right? I was born in 1995, so I have a different mindset, different understanding, and I grew up, within a different society, right? So let me know. Please subscribe, hit the like, and at the end, do a flip. Till the next.